Do you struggle to study for your theory test? In this video, I'm going to show you a very simple technique of how to study, and then I'm going to do a 20 question mock test for you guys. Hi, I'm Dorian from Think to Success. I get this question asked a lot. What's the best way to study? In my opinion, I don't believe there is a best way to study other than what's best for you. Some people like reading books, some people like doing stuff online, i.e. watching YouTube videos, others like using apps. So you have to choose what's the best method for you, because if it's best for you, the chances are you're going to learn easier and it's probably going to be a little bit more enjoyable, rather than someone saying do it this way and you don't like that method whatsoever. In the classroom, I use apps. It's the easiest way for me to get across to my pupils the relevant points and to do mock test. If you are using apps on your tablet and phones, the apps are set up so you can do categories. That's my simple tip, is just work through all of the categories. There's about 14 of them. I'm going to jump on my desktop so you can see what I'm talking about. So here you can see all the categories. For example, if you struggle, which is the obvious one, road and traffic signs. So if you struggle with road and traffic signs, you just click on that. It will give you questions about road and traffic signs, and then you move on to the next category and then the next one until you covered all 14 of them. And then once you've done all the categories, my advice is then do questions, random questions, but break it down to small chunks. The apps allow you to sort of set the questions up, 10 questions, 20 questions, but my advice is start small, always do it in small chunks. So i.e. 10 questions, do that, see how you get on, then move on. Once you're comfortable, do blocks of 20, blocks of 30, and then work your way up to the magical mock test of 50 questions. I'm on my desktop. It doesn't allow me to do 10 questions on my desktop. It just gives me the option of doing 20. So I'm going to do a random paper for you guys and show you a method of how to break it down. So if you are struggling for your theory test, watch the video until the end. If you've got any questions, any comments, pull it below, because I'm here to help you guys as well. I've also got a video out at the moment that gives you the chance to work with me so I can help you pass your theory test. I shall put the link up here somewhere, and I will also put the link down below. I've got 1 or 2 spaces free at the moment because pupils have passed, so I've removed them from the app, so that gives you the option of signing up and getting my help if you need it. But watch this video to the end. I'm going to show you how to break it down, especially if you're new to the channel and never seen any of my videos before. So I'm just going to do a random practice paper and we'll take it from there. So before we go any further, you must remember the theory test is about safety, control, common sense answers. Those are the type of things that you're looking for in terms of answers. Always read the question fully, and I would suggest that you read the answers very carefully and work your way through each one. Don't skim read. So break it down in small chunks, because sometimes there's clues in the question as well. And hopefully some questions come up that I can show you that technique as well. But because it's random, I have no control over what's coming up. So the question: what should you do when you park at night on a road that has a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit? Now with this, a little clue, it's got park in the question, so you're looking for park when, so you're looking for park in the answer, but the answer has to make sense, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with this. So first one, park facing the traffic. With the highway code, it says you should always park up on the left with the flow of traffic. So again, it makes it easier for cars at night to know that you are parked up, because the lights at the back of your car are red, and that will reflect when they've got their headlights on. So it's not going to be parking facing the traffic. Park near a street light. Question is, how many of us can park near a street light? And the ones that live in the countryside, for example, there's no street lights, so that's not a generic answer. Leave dipped headlights switched on. Dip headlights are too bright, so that's for driving normally when you're in the dark. So leaving dipped headlights on is too bright. leave parking lights switched on. Now, if you go back to the question, you got park at night, leave parking lights switched on. And that's what I mean. Sometimes there's little clues in the question which relates to the answer itself. So it's going to be this one. So the reason why you leave your parking lights on, because it's a faster road. Remember, this is aimed at new drivers as well. So by someone leaving their parking lights on a road of 40 miles an hour or more, when you're driving, it's quite clearly visible and you know they are parked up. How can you avoid wasting fuel? This comes up a lot and a lot of people struggle with it, especially if you're not taking driving lessons at the time. How can you avoid wasting fuel? So we go through this by keeping an empty roof rack on your vehicle. It's empty, but if it's empty, do you really need it? But it's a possible answer. By revving the engine in lower gears. If you're going to rev the engine, you're wasting fuel. But the question is, how can you avoid wasting fuel? So by revving the engine in lower gears, you won't be avoiding wasting fuel. You're actually wasting fuel. By driving at higher speeds where possible. By driving at higher speeds, where if you're driving at higher speeds, again, you're burning more fuel in that sense. By having your vehicle serviced regularly. It's going to be this one. If you get your car service looked after by the mechanic, it's going to be running at its optimum. Think about Formula Ones when they do their racing. They have the cars finely tuned to get the maximum speed as well. So that's what it's going to be. Service your car on a regular basis. You stopped at Pelican Crossing. What should you do if a disabled person is crossing slowly in front of you and the lights change to green? Right, Pelican Crossing. This is, again, people get confused with crossings. With a Pelican Crossing, Pelican's the only one that has a flashing sequence. So it'd be flashing amber. So if it's flashing amber, then it goes to green and someone's crossing. You got to allow them to finish crossing. That's the safest option. You got to allow them to finish crossing. So we're looking for something along those lines. Wait for them to finish crossing, which is the option. But let's read the others. Drive in front of them, definitely not. Edge forward slowly, definitely not. It's not going to be safe doing that. And sound your horn, shouldn't be doing that, especially if it's a disabled person. Or any person for that matter, to be honest. So it's going to be wait for them to finish crossing. And that's not for just disabled people, it's for anyone. If they are crossing, the lights go to green, believe it or not, it's their priority, it's not yours. Allow them to finish crossing and then you can drive on when it's safe to do so. What should you do if you see older people crossing the road ahead? Triangles, if you didn't know, are warnings, and that's warning of elderly people crossing. Wave them across so they know that you've seen them. You should never wave anyone across. The reason for that is because you may wave someone across because you're letting them go, but the bike that's overtaking you may not. So you should never wave anyone through, especially on your driving test. Tap the horn in case they're hard of hearing. Definitely not. Can scare them. Be patient, allow them to cross in their own time. That's got to be the safest option at the moment. Be patient, allow them to finish crossing the road in their time. Don't hasten them across the road. Rev the engine to let them know you're waiting, and again, that's not good behavior. What should you do when you park the car facing down? So it's facing downhill. Turn the steering wheel towards the curb. That's what you want. And the reason being, if the handbrake failed for whatever reason, it rolls into the curb so it doesn't keep going down the road. So if it's downhill, you want to turn the wheels sort of towards the curb. Turn the steering wheel away from the curb. If you turn it away from the curb, it's going to roll into the road. Park with two wheels on the curb. You shouldn't be doing that. And park close to the bumper of another car. Again, you shouldn't do that. You want to leave yourself room to get out when it's time to drive off. You're traveling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from the slip road? So you're in the left-hand lane. Everyone should be staying left when possible. And traffic's coming from the slip road. What should you do, or how should you react? So increase your speed to ensure they join behind you. That can't be safe. If you increase your speed, they increase their speed, you're asking for trouble. Adjust your speed or change lane if you can to do so safely. And remember what the theory test is about: safety. Look at the word there, safely. A lot of pupils ignore this. It doesn't always work, by the way, but if it's got the word safety, Safely in the answer, you have to shortlist it as possible. So I'm going to click on that and then read the other answers. Switch on hazard warning lights. Switching on hazard warning lights is not going to change anything. Maintain a steady speed. If that speed that you've maintained is the same speed they are driving at when they're going to join, you're asking for trouble. It's going to be an accident. So the correct answer is adjust your speed or change lanes if you can do so. And again, the key word there is safely. When may you overtake another vehicle on their left? Right, you've got to be very careful with this question because it comes up quite a lot. When may you overtake another vehicle on the left? In other words, when it's legal. In terms of may, it's when it's legal. There's some situation when you can pass a vehicle on the left, but it's circumstances. If it comes up in these answers, I'll explain a little bit more. When the vehicle in front is signaling to turn left, well, think about it. If the vehicle in front is turning left, you can't undertake it or overtake it on the left. When approaching the motorway slip roads where you be turning off. Now, this is what I mean by circumstances. You're on the slip road, you're coming off on the motorway, and the car in the left-hand lane is just going a little bit slower than you are. That's circumstances. Technically, it's okay to do that. But again, the question says may, in other words, when it's legal in doing that. When you're in a one-way street, that's legal because all the cars are going the same way in a one-way street. So it doesn't make a difference whether you pass left, middle or right in terms of lanes. Now, when this question comes up, or this answer comes up on these questions, pupils don't picture lanes on a one-way street. They picture a road that's just wide enough for one car. So they eliminate this as an answer. One-way street can have lanes, and that's why you can pass on the left, middle or right-hand lane. It makes no difference. When a slower vehicle is travelling in the right-hand lane of a dual carriageway, and again, this one is circumstances. You happen to be in the left-hand lane, the car's in the right-hand lane or middle lanes going slower, then technically it's legal to undertake a car on the left-hand side. But like I said, it's circumstances. It's saying may. In other words, it's saying when is it legal or right to do it. When may you stop on an urban clearway? Now, an urban clearway is just a road they want to keep clear. It's nothing special. It's just a road they want to keep clear at all times to help traffic flow at all times of the day. So the only time you can really stop on an urban clearway is when you're dropping off passengers or picking them up. You can't wait for them. Just drop them off, pick them up and move on. That's what we're looking for along those lines. So you can't stop to ask for directions, to set down and pick up passengers, which is what I just explained, to use a mobile phone, no, and to load or unload goods, no. So it's going to be to set down and pick up your passengers, but remember there's no waiting. Pick them up, kick them out, move on. Why are vehicles fitted with rear fog lights? It's fog lights, so they could be seen clearly, or clearer in fog, basically. Something along those lines we're looking for. So to make them more visible when driving at high speeds. No, you don't want to be visible driving at high speeds, especially in fog anyway. To warn drivers falling close to drop back. Should you, fog lights is not going to warn drivers to drop back. It could dazzle them as well if you're not using them in the right conditions. So to make them more visible in thick fog. Right, again, going back for the little nuggets in the question. Why are vehicles fitted with rear fog lights? Answer, to make them more visible in thick fog. It tallies. Fog, tallies. Let's click on that. Let's look on the last one. To show when they've broken down in a dangerous position. That's what hazard lights are for. So it's not going to be fog lights for that one. So it's going to be that answer. Why should you never wave people across at pedestrian crossing? It's not safe. Just because you're stopping letting people go, you're waving them to go. The bike that's overtaking you may not be stopping. That can cause an accident. So never wave anyone across the road. Let them decide if it's safe for themselves to cross. So they may not be ready to cross. It's not going to be that one. It's safer for you to carry on. It's not going to be that one. Another vehicle may be coming, which I just mentioned, and they may not be looking. So it's going to be that one. Yeah, you wave them to go, but another vehicle coming may not be letting them go. Which instrument panel warning light would show that headlights are on the main beam? Now, if you're not taking driving lessons, you probably won't know. So let me just go through these. That's your main beam. That's your indicator or hazard lights. That's your handbrake light. And that's your hazard lights in the hazard warning light switch in the car. That's your indicators or hazard lights when you've used the hazard button. And that's your handbrake light. And that's your main beam light. So it's going to be A with that one. What should you do when you are following a motorcyclist along a road that has a poor road surface? Safety. If you're going to follow a cyclist that has poor and the road has a poor road surface, stay back would be the safest one. So we're looking for something along those lines. Follow closely so they can see in the mirrors. No. Allow extra room in case they swerve to avoid potholes. That's a possibility. Allow the same room as normal to avoid wasting road space. No. Overtake immediately to avoid delays, and again no. So it's going to be about one. Allow extra room because they remember cyclists, motorbikes swerve around drain, manhole covers, potholes. You are driving on a motorway at night. Which lights should you have on if there are other vehicles just ahead of you? Right, when this question comes up, pupils struggle with this, especially if you're not taking driving lessons. Now, if the question comes up about lights, the answer is always going to be dipped headlights or headlights. It's always going to be that. If they want a different answer to the lights, it's going to give you more information, i.e. the one we had before, fog. So you know it's going to be fog lights, that type of thing. So when the question's asked in this simple form, it's going to be headlights or dipped headlights. So that's what we're looking for. Side lights is what you use when it starts to get a little bit dark. So you're never going to use those just on the motorway at night. Front fog lights is not foggy, so we don't need the fog light. Main beam lights are when the road is pitch black, no other lighting and no other road users are on the road. So you can use that to light it up so you can see further ahead. So that's going to be too bright for a motorway at night. So as I mentioned earlier on, you've got dipped headlights and that's what it's going to be. So I'll just repeat that. In the basic question like you got there, it's going to be headlights or dipped headlights. If they want any other lights, they're going to give you a little bit more information so you can feed off of it. What should you do if your vehicle has a puncture on the motorway? Switch on hazard warning lights, stop in your lane. That's not going to be safe if you stop in your lane. Drive slowly to the next service area to get assistance. That could be miles away and you're driving very slowly with technically 3 good tyres, so it's not going to be safe. Pull up on the hard shoulder or in emergency refuge area and call for assistance. Emergency, you've got a puncture, so it's probably going to be that one in terms of safety answer. And again, let's just read the last one. Pull up on the hard shoulder or in an emergency refuge area. Change the wheel as quickly as possible. Right, this is what I mean by reading the answers, all of them. I'll just go through this one again. Pull up on the hard shoulder or in an emergency refuge area and call for assistance. This one is very similar, but rather than calling someone, it says change the wheel as quickly as possible. Now this one's not safe because you are changing your own tyre or wheel on a motorway which is 70 miles an hour. If someone lost control and crashed into your car, you know what's going to happen with that situation. So call for assistance. That's the safest one out of the two, and that's what I mean by safety. And that's why I say read the questions and answers very, very carefully, because sometimes there could be 2 similar ones. What's the reason for traffic calming measure? If you didn't know, traffic calming measures are speed humps, width restrictions when you go through a tight space, so the car's got to be kept slow as you go through, or chicanes when the pavement sort of comes out and the car's got to maneuver around a tight space with the pavement coming out other side. So traffic calming measures are designed to keep your speed down in a particular area. That's what it's for. So to make parking easier, no. To slow down traffic, yes, but still read the other answers. To make overtaking easier, no. To stop road rage, no. What will happen if your car's wheels are unbalanced? Now, if your car wheels are unbalanced, you're going to feel a vibration in the steering wheel. So it just means one wheel slightly higher than the other. Common reasons are driving too fast, speed humps, potholes, and matting the pavement every time you park. So you're just unbalancing the wheels a little bit. So you're going to feel a vibration in the steering wheel. So we're looking for something along those lines. The steering wheel vibrate straight out of the hat. The tires will deflate. No. The steering wheel pull to one side. The steering pulling to one side is tracking. So it's not unbalanced, that's tracking. And the brakes will fail. No. How will a heavy load on your roof rack affect your vehicle's handling? Right, if you've got heavy weight, it's going to make it unstable. Just think about someone on your back. You're giving someone a piggy bank. You're not going to be totally stable when you're walking or trying to run with someone else on your back, or a rucksack, for example, as well. So it's going to be unstable. So again, we're looking for something along those lines. It will make your steering lighter. If you've got a heavy load, it's not going to make it light, it's going to make it slightly heavier. It will reduce stability. Yeah, it's going to make it a little bit unstable. It will improve road handling. No, it's not. And it will reduce your stopping distance. It can't reduce your stopping distance. If anything, because you carry an extra load, it's going to increase your stopping distance. So it's going to reduce your stability. At an incident, someone is suffering from severe burns. How can you help them? Douse the burns with clean, cool water. Douse is a term they use a lot on the theory test, and people think, oh, what is dousing? It's just pouring water over the burn itself. That's all that dousing means. Just pour the water over the burn. And it's going to be this one. The full answer is actually douse the burn with cool water or non-toxic fluid for a minimum of 20 minutes, then wrapped in cling film to keep it moist. That's the full answer. Again, just a little tip. If you don't see cool water as your option, it's non-toxic fluid you'll be looking for. Burst any blisters, definitely not. Apply lotions to injury, definitely not. Remove anything sticking to the burn. As carefully as you want, you're taking that skin with it. So no, it's going to be the top one. How much can stopping distances increase in icy conditions? In rain, it's double. In ice, it's up to 10 times more. So 5 times no, 10 times is ice, 3 times no, and 2 times no. Do you need to plan rest stops when planning a long journey? Safety. It's a long journey. Do you need to plan a rest stop? Of course you do. Because regular stops keeps you refreshed and can help your concentration. No, you'll be less tired if you get there as soon as possible. That's not going to be safe. No, only fuel stops will be needed. No, that's not good either. Yes, regular stops help concentration. There you go. But read the last one. Yes, you should plan to stop every half an hour. If it's a long journey, stopping every half an hour is going to take you a hell of a long time to get there. Ideally, you want to stop every an hour and a half to 2 hours when driving a long journey. And there you have it. Hopefully you got some benefit from this video and some tips of how to study. If you got any questions, any concerns, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to address them. I'll also leave the link to the video where I'm actually helping students to pass their theory test. Otherwise, go off and watch the next video that YouTube recommends, and I will see you in the next video.